So, you want to become a doodling god, huh? Well, let me show you the way. Doodling is something that is a core part of me that I have honed over many years. I may not be the ultimate doodler like these guys, but I definitely can doodle some awesome, stupid shit here and there. So today, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can get better at doodling, because I know a lot of you guys are out there who like to doodle, but maybe aren't as confident as you want to be in it. Also, before we get started, make sure to check out my Patreon and my Etsy shop down below. I have all kinds of really cool things on there, so make sure to go and check out those links down below. And let's get into our doodling. First of all, we need to establish some basics here, okay? Things that are fundamental for doodling. First things first, materials. This is the awesome thing when it comes to doodling, is that you don't need anything fancy or special to do it. I mean, literally, you can doodle with a cheap ballpoint pen and a napkin if you wanted to. But I will go ahead and give you some pointers on the materials that I like to use. If I want a more fine doodle, I will go ahead and use a mechanical pencil. If I want to make something more permanent, I will go ahead and use this fine point pen. It is very nice. You can find them here. Also, if you have a big piece of paper, Posca pens are very nice, or any kind of like acrylic marker. Super nice for creating bold and big doodles. When it comes to paper, I don't use anything in particular. Typically, it's just random pieces of paper. It's in my sketchbook, something like that. Though I have been known to carry around with me a very small sketchbook that is dedicated to doodling. So that's something that you can also look into. If you're looking for specific paper types, I would literally just look at the materials that you're using and see what paper you might need to get for them. So for me in particular, I like to use Posca pens, and if I'm using Posca pens, I'm going to go with a canvas paper. So go ahead and do that. Look into your materials, and you might be able to find some paper that you really like. A very core part of doodling, in my opinion, is shape language and being able to get good at drawing shapes. Yes, it's time to go back to kindergarten, learn about shapes and how to draw them. The fundamentals of anything you're going to doodle typically are broken down into shapes, so you should be confident when it comes to drawing shapes, as it will translate well into doodling a variety of things. Looking at this little tutorial here, we can see that it's broken down into basic shapes, and most of the time you're going to be applying this to everything that you doodle. If you want to get more confident and better at drawing shapes, I would take a big piece of paper and a marker or a pen and just sit and draw circles, triangles, squares, cubes, lines, anything you feel is necessary to really build up your confidence when it comes to drawing shapes and shape language. Before we move on to some more drawing tips, this is an important side note that I think needs to be mentioned. Doodling is meant to be fun. And I want you guys to remember this throughout all of the exercises and things that we go over today. Doodling is not meant to be grueling to do. It is meant to be fun. It's something that is very relaxing to do, and you can kind of just whip out and do anytime, anywhere. Even if you don't feel like you're good at doodling right now, you can do it. Anyone can. And it's just up to you to developing that doodling skill a little bit more and honing it in. Make sure you're having fun with it along the way, otherwise all of this work you put into it is going to go to waste because you'll end up hating it. We don't want that. So, make sure you're having fun, okay? Something that's really cool when it comes to doodling is that everyone will have their own unique individual style. This is typically what I end up doodling. I doodle a lot of weird and random characters all over the place, and I've definitely developed my style over time. Give yourself some grace, as everyone will have a different way of doodling, and I think that's kind of the beauty of it. So if your doodles don't look like the Mona Lisa or something like that, give yourself a little bit of a break. Another thing that you should also remember is that you should be doodling things that you want to doodle. There's a lot of resources out there that will have you doodling really simple things or really cutesy things, which is totally great for building up your confidence. But if you're more inclined to draw something like dragons or weird characters, definitely go with that and start building it up. The next thing that you can begin practicing is your muscle memory. For instance, I draw a lot of these weird characters and creatures over and over, and frankly, it all is muscle memory. I'm not really thinking too much about how I'm going to construct it. It's just placing things where I feel like they need to go because I have the muscle memory of doing it over and over again. Obviously, I take all kinds of different spins on these characters that I create, and I sometimes make new things that I've never done before. In order to build up your muscle memory, I would definitely recommend doing something like setting a timer for 10 minutes a day and just letting yourself doodle. You'll begin to see a pattern of what you enjoy doodling, and if you continue to doodle over and over again, you'll be able to just doodle on the fly. Now, you may have noticed, when it comes to my doodling, I love to over-exaggerate things or make things just look overly silly. So how in the world can you accomplish that? Something to remember when it comes to doodling characters or creatures or whatever is that you can do two different things. You can over-exaggerate different features and you can also simplify them. Take for instance this doodle I did of Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. Taking a look at their original renders, you can see they're a lot more complicated than what I ended up doing. The first thing that I ended up doing when it came to this doodle was simplifying it. I made sure to make the drawing overly simple with basic lines and basic colors. I over-exaggerated Donkey Kong's muscles to be giant balloons. I didn't over-exaggerate too much on Diddy Kong, but we could definitely say he is more simplified, and I exaggerated his smile a little bit more. Overall, if you're drawing something in particular, like a character or even some of your own original ideas, you can over-exaggerate different features in order to make them more silly or more unique. Another really good practice you can do is to look at an object in your room and doodle it. So pick something random, pick a book, pick maybe a knick-knack you have, and doodle it. How can you over-exaggerate different features about it? How can you simplify it? And how can you just overall make it more fun? If you're a more refined doodler and you enjoy simpler lines and shapes, you can go ahead and see where you can place those lines, how you can make it simple or more complicated to your own liking. Something else that really helped me when it came to getting good at doodling was a game called Drawception. Drawception is a game basically like telephone, but with drawing. You'll either be given a random drawing to describe or a caption to end up drawing. You'll typically be given around 10 minutes to complete your drawing or type in a caption. Drawception was one of the ways I was able to get a lot more confident with my doodling. It gives you a certain time limit and a prompt that is generally unexpected. You can get really creative with a lot of the prompts that other people give, and frankly, it is such a fun way to practice doodling. I eventually started to practice different ways of drawing, I applied colors differently, and definitely had a ton of fun with it. I'll leave a link down in the description below so you can go ahead and give it a try. It is such a fun game to practice and overall just interact with other people who love to doodle and draw. My last bit of advice has to be looking up resources. There are so many resources online, whether you just Google how to doodle, or maybe you go to YouTube in order to get better at your line work. There's so much that you can begin to delve into in order to get better at doodling or just even following a tutorial. There's definitely so much information, way more than I could ever provide when it comes to getting better at a variety of things. It's just a Google away. I hope you keep practicing your doodling and getting better at it, and hopefully I could provide some half-helpful tips. Definitely remember to have fun with it, because doodling, at its core, is supposed to be simple, fun, stupid, and whatever else. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. As always, make sure to check out my Patreon and Etsy shop. Like and subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll be seeing you guys in another video. Bye-bye!